going to be using 2 examples of success that you've never heard anyone ever use. Stay tuned!
A better you starts today.
All right, drum roll. You ready for them? They're coming. Here they are. All right, you're rolling in your head. The drum's going. Here's the 2 examples of success. I bet you never ever heard anybody use them before. Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. And why is Steve Jobs successful? Because he died. He made the final transformation. That's right, we're setting up a cult, and that is how you get into heaven. Obviously, you can't do it while you're alive. So that's how he's in it. And then the second one is Elon Musk because he started a cult. But also, on top of that, I'm not going to be another one of these snarky people that, constantly sits there and shits on Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, because I think that there's enough of that on political... Isn't it amazing? The 2 things that I'm obsessed with in life, there's such a dichotomy. I'm such a man of contrasts. Because usually, if you are into the self-help stuff, you're always like, the 2 greatest men of all time. And then, if you're into the political stuff, you're like, 2 disgusting capitalists. But let's just look at their successes for a moment, yeah? And let's try and take away, if you are one of these snarky little fucks that spends too much time on Twitch, I know what you're thinking right now. Any second, he's going to say that they're captains of industry, and not in an ironic tone, and I've got to do something about that immediately. I know that if I type to him, this thing that was filmed in the past will change. Nah, it's not going to. I'm just going to have this opinion for the rest of my life. And you know why? Because I'm successful. That's why. And successful people never change their opinions. Fact, okay? Except obviously when they're coordinating their way to the success, and then they change their opinions frequently in that. But what they don't do, and this is why Steve Jobs and Elon Musk are always at the top, is because they, unlike anyone else in the world, had a vision. Well, obviously it's just that, yes, their vision was lucky in that it was something that everybody needed, which is electric cars / personal computers, and so everybody knows their name. Fine. Good for them. You're probably not going to have that because you're going to be doing something that not everyone on planet Earth will benefit from. So you're probably going to have to settle for, oh no, I'm the head of some local council and I've got to think of a way to make things more efficient. Well, guess what? You are not going to have pictures of Gandhi and then your face after them like Steve Jobs did, are you? Which, people always say, why is he doing that? I'll tell you why, because he's got the money to do it, Stitch. So let's talk about these 2 then. Really, what's driving it? Because I think that's something that people always try to attack them on is they just did it for the money. Maybe that's the first one. They got lucky. There was all these instances around them and they were using subsidies that the government was putting in. But I've got a news flash for you anyway, by the way. You existing is subsidized by the government. Did you ever think of that? Think before you throw stones. I know that the people are always saying that, yes, but we spent all of this money on innovation and they stole the innovation tools. Yes, I understand all of that, but the point is that they did it. You didn't. That's the difference. That's why they're there and you're not. And also because of time sequences. Yes, we get it. There are a lot of factors in success. However, the ones that were in their control, they obviously executed to a very impressive level. You have to give them that. Don't you? No, you're still not going to? Well, I'm going to march on without you then. Come on, everyone. Let's go have fun together without these sad sacks. Spending a lot of time on these 10 dislikes on this video. But anyway, look, these people, think about it. Let's just go with Elon Musk for a second. Say what you want about him. Say what you want. I remember, this was around the time that Tesla was getting formed, which was around the global financial crisis stage. First off, that is a terrible, terrible time to start an automotive manufacturing operation, isn't it? Right? Think about how much, in a global credit crunch, asking for a bunch of investors, asking to get a bunch of capital pulled together to make technology that at the time people thought was fantasy la-la land stuff. I mean, they still do now, despite the fact that they're faster than normal cars. They still think it now, even though they seem to be more efficient than cars and last longer than normal cars. Still to this day, yeah, right. What happens when there's a blackout? They're still stretching for examples, but back then, there actually was serious limitations to it. In that, also, you had all of these automotive cars just buying up the technology and killing it. So you had nothing to really start with. He really had to almost invent the engine from scratch, especially because a lot of the electric vehicle stuff was just namby-pamby bullshit stuff. You know that documentary that Michael Moore put out that I think he was co-produced with? And then they were talking about all of these things of solar panels, electric cars. That was really interesting because it was a blast in the past and everybody just went, oh, it is all useless, isn't it? But the thing is that EV technology, solar technology has gone so far in the last 10 years, but we don't know about it. Like back then, we didn't know. We just thought that it was just going to be shit forever. Now, if you've studied enough trends in life, you always realize that no, technology just goes on this never-ending march of improvement, and one day it does go ahead. The thing is, that was not the reality back then. The reality was EVs seemed like this weird little luxury thing that only the Hollywood elite might even consider buying. And even then, they'd have a Rolls Royce to cancel it out because it just couldn't drive you anywhere. He had to scrounge from the beginning to make that. Obviously, people are going to say, yeah, what about the scientists and all that? But you have to say that about every stretch of every innovation ever. And let's be clear about this. Leadership is part of that. The scientists might not have the leadership in innovation. The scientists that we all know about are the ones like your Nikola Teslas and your Einsteins that had the initiative to do those things by themselves. But not every scientist has that leadership skill that he obviously had. Not every one of these has, say, capital and finance. This is something that I just come to as a realization very recently, which is you can have the greatest idea of the planet. Did you know that you need money to do it? Did you know that this is something that it completely changed the way that I think about the financial world? Because, again, I grew up in the politics realm, and then you're always just thinking about, ooh, it's so evil. But really, what is finance at the end of the day? It's pretty neutral. It can be used for evil things, but it could also be used for very positive things. It is infrastructure. It's the same as cement. Cement can be used for evil things like burying someone alive, but it can also be used to build a house. So it really just depends on how you're using it, but it is sort of the initial stage of any project. It's kind of like the pre-infrastructure almost. You need it to build the infrastructure. There's that. There's wrangling investors in to believe in what you're doing to the point that you actually can get them to concentrate all of their capital into building the electric car. All of these things happened. Why? Because Elon Musk obviously had a vision. That's what Steve Jobs and Elon Musk had that no one else did. Because both of them, at a time when everybody else was saying, no, it's too hard, I'm not going to be doing it, these were the people that dared think ahead and think, how do I make this a reality? That's why they are well ahead of everybody else in their fields. It is because they thought, how do we muster the resources to get to this outcome? They had the vision of that. Nothing else was really important to them except for getting to that outcome. And then they were able to compromise on everything else until they moved towards that. And while everybody else was just divvying towards it, nah, too hard, not going to do it. Now look at them. Now look at everyone lining up to make their own electric vehicles. Now when it comes to, say, the technologies that Steve Jobs sort of pioneered with his iPhone and whatever, look at them all. He just completely changed the mobile phone industry. Except for me, I've sure got the oldies. Little bastard didn't get me. Now, obviously, I think there's a lot of bad things that come with smartphones. If you watch this channel at all, I'm always talking about how bad it is. However, he had the vision of, how about we have something that's even more accessible than your personal computer? Something that's even more convenient than your laptop. A laptop in your pocket at all times. It does everything. That was the vision that was there. It didn't exist before, but he knew that that's where it had to go. That's the way that it had to go. And so he was pioneering that. That's what separates people from the 99% to the 1%. It is the people that have the foresight to think this is something that we need to solve, and they move towards it. That is the thing that separates everyone else. It is vision. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, yeah, I don't have a vision. Well, that's on you. That's on you. Because everybody has the capacity to do one of these things. No one really starts out as well. This is a little cheat when it comes to this stuff. No one starts out there thinking, yeah, and the electric car, it's going to have like a little swipe card, like when you're getting a library book, that's going to be the new key. And when you get in, it says, hello, Jordan, where would you like to go? And then I say, I want to go to Mars, and then it goes to Mars. No one thinks like that. Everybody just thinks, I don't know, electric vehicles that fuzzily move along in that direction. But the thing is that they have that foresight. And they are willing to put up with a lot of pain to get there, while the rest of everybody else doesn't. What's keeping them warm at night? Certainly not their heating bills, I'll tell you that much, for a long period of most of these visionaries' lives. What is keeping them warm at night is the vision of what they are going to bring into the world. You've got to have something like that motivating you, getting you up every day. First off, it just helps you become who you truly can become. And what happens is you look back at your life and you think, thank God I went on that, not even side quest, as annoying YouTubers would say. Sick YouTubers like myself would use this word, quest. That's right, they get rid of the useless words. Shut the fuck up, don't look too deeply into what I just said. Look deeply into this though. That's what true leadership is. That's what will get you financial security, very ironically. Because I think that one thing that we can say about Steve Jobs and Elon Musk is they're pretty financially secure. Even if they developed massive gambling habits in all of those baller Singapore casinos where it's just for high rollers, even if they went there, I don't think that they could bet enough to clear themselves out of money. I think it just gets to that weird, absurd stage where they're like, oh my God, I'm bankrupt. Oh wait, I forgot about all these other streams of income. I think that's just what happens. So the safety actually comes from pioneering and going forward. Everybody always thinks that safety comes from being in the herd. In the herd, you get picked off. You know what happens? In a terrorist situation, who's got the highest chance of living? The person that as soon as they go in the house and like, everyone get down! That person that goes, fuck! And then runs out the back of the kitchen. They're the one that has it. So you need to think of something, and I need you to think about this right now as an experiment. Just put on your nice little SimCity music. I need you to think about that. What is a vision you have that you can bring into the world that you think would improve it? Can you do it? Can you also come see my show? Because it's live now. You get an hour of this when you go to my Mondays at Sydney. The tickets will be in the description. We're doing it for the next 10 weeks. I'm going to come up with like a live show and then I'm going to tour it around. So these ones are all just budget ticket prices. And in the meantime as well, you can also sign up to Jordan Shanks and you can get yourself 3 extra of these videos that are going to be prompting you to do these basic things like, I mean, this isn't even basic, come on. Getting you to get in the habit of visualizing a new future. My God, that is truly worth the extra 3 videos a week, isn't it? So make sure that you sign up for those because that is something that you need to do, not just for yourself, but for the world. You owe it, and therefore you owe me money. There's no other alternative to it. Come see the live show to get it really ingrained into your head. And if you can't even be bothered to do that, then I've got the audio tapes for everybody else in the country. Go sign up to those. Those are your options though. Come see me live, get an audio tape. Otherwise you're a loser that'll never have a vision.